All right. Hi again. This is a continuation of the narrative opening, narrative closing presentation. What we're going to see in this video is the second half of building the beginning and ending of your story, which is narrative closings. Just like narrative openings, if you had a chance to look at that video, I talked about 4 different ways that stories can be opened or began or effectively started. The best stories don't only start in a good way, they also end in a way that's really effective and satisfying for the reader. And so your beginning is meant to hook your reader and bring them into your story. Your ending is meant to take your reader back out of the story in an effective way that makes them feel satisfied, and that everything kind of came to a conclusion in some way. So the 4 ways that the 4 ways that authors can close a story are as follows. To talk you through this one, I'm actually not going to do written examples. I'm going to be showing a series of videos from film. This will be a way to sort of show you narrative closing or endings. So here they are. Here are the 4 types. The first type is going to be the open-ended or the cliffhanger ending. This is going to be an ending that is intentionally open or unresolved, where you don't really have a clean-cut ending. There are a lot of things that weren't answered by the end of the story. But again, the key word here is intentionally unresolved. It leaves the reader with important questions to be answered. One thing that I often see writers get confused with, open-ended doesn't mean unfinished. An open-ended or cliffhanger ending is a finished story, and it's ended in a way that doesn't have all the questions answered on purpose. So this is a really popular choice. I love it. It's a really good choice for short stories because you don't have a whole lot of time to tell too much story. So this definitely might be one to consider, but be careful with it because it can get more confusing than you would intend if you're not careful. The second type is the closed ending. This is going to be an ending that is tightly knit. It leaves no questions to be answered. The conflict resolves. Maybe there's a resolution, even if it isn't in good fortune. So, your characters might have ended in really bad fortune with death or something like that. It doesn't have to be a happy-go-lucky ending for a closed ending. But what's important with this ending type is that everything comes to a full stop. Conflict is resolved and there's nothing that happens after this story is over. Okay. So closed ending, kind of a hard thing to do in a short story, but pretty popular choice for students. The next 2 are interesting and kind of fun. You're going to be familiar with nostalgic, and cyclical might be the most hard, but I love it. So nostalgic, what is it? The nostalgic ending is going to be a story ending that's sentimental, and it leaves the reading wishing for a return to earlier times because that was such a great journey we just went down. This is sort of the happily ever after type ending. It's gonna, again, nostalgia is the idea that you long for the past because where you currently are just reminds you of all the good things that you went through. So that is nostalgia. The last one is called the cyclical ending, and within that word you see cycle, or cyclical, almost like a circle. This ending is whenever the ending mirrors the beginning in some way. The way that you finish is going to be very close to the way that you started. This is fun. This can be something that's pretty clever. You end right where you began, generally to show growth or to show change. So this is one that I think is best to show you an example for how a cyclical ending can happen. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and go through some real examples from movie clips. So I'm going to show you and sort of set up each one. I'm just going to show you short clips. So the first one is the open-ended example. So an open-ended story, again, finishes with questions to be answered. It doesn't leave the reader in confusion necessarily, but it leaves the reader questioning exactly what happened. So the story here is from Inception. If you know this movie, basically it's a pretty trippy story about characters going into dream worlds in each other's minds and trying to manipulate each other in this dream world. There's this device that Leonardo DiCaprio, the main character, is going to use to help him decide, am I in the dream world or am I in reality? So he spins the top. If the top stops spinning, then he is in reality. If it doesn't stop spinning, then he is in the dream world. So he's going to this clip, he's coming back home and he's going to see his kids for the first time. I'm going to fast forward here, and he's wondering, this is all too perfect. Am I in the dream world? And so he's going to check with his.
Look who's here.
All right, so that when I saw that movie in theaters, that moment, I was so upset because it didn't give me the ending that I wanted. It was open-ended. It left me wanting more, and also I wanted to see that movie again to decide what was happening. It looks like the top is about to fall, but we don't actually get to see that because the director decided to cut it off and leave it open. So we don't know if he's in the dream world or not by the very end of the movie. So it leaves a lot of questions to be answered. Okay, that's an open-ended example. The next one I want to talk about is the closed ending example. I'm not going to share this whole clip just for sake of time, but this is from a movie called Shawshank Redemption. Really good film if you've never seen it. I'm not sure where it might be streamable right now, but you could look it up. I absolutely recommend you seeing this movie. I think it's one of the best films of all time. So Morgan Freeman here is going to be a man who was in prison with another prisoner for a very long time. And he's going to a spot where some treasure's been buried by another former prisoner that he spent a lot of time with. He's going to read a letter, and basically by the end of the story, he's going to go and find his former prison mate on an island, and they're going to live sort of happily ever after. So just kind of narrate what's going on here. He finds this letter and a bunch of cash buried, and in the letter it's going to tell him where to find it. Okay.
If you're
So
reading
I'm going to
this,
fast forward in this clip. He's going to go through. He's going to hop on a bus. Again, he's been in prison.
I hope I can
He was
make it
a
across the
teenager.
border.
Now he's an old man. So
I hope.
finally, after so many years in prison, he gets a chance. And freedom. All right, so you can see there at the end that they're going to hug and be really excited to see each other after being in prison for so long. And, as far as we know, they end up fixing up that boat, living on the island, and having a really good life of freedom. So that is the closed ending example. I'm going to go through two more. Oops. Real quick. So we have the nostalgic ending, and then again, I'm going to do the cyclical ending. So here's the nostalgic ending coming from Forrest Gump, 1994, very last scene. Forrest Gump here is a father now. He's got a little boy. This might even be kind of like cyclical because it's how the movie began. But I like this because it really leaves you satisfied. Even though a bunch of good and bad things happen in the story, this is going to be an ending that wants you longing for more and, leaving you with some feel-good feelings. So I'm just going to show a little bit here. This is Forrest Jr. waiting for the bus.
Hey. Hey. Here you go.
Hey, Forrest, don't. I want to tell you I love you.
I love you too, Daddy.
I'll be right here when you get back.
You understand this is the bus to the school now, don't you?
Of course, the name of Dorothy yours, and I'm Forrest Gump.
Okay, so again, in this example, we have a chance to reflect on all of the growth that Forrest has gone through. We know it comes back to this symbol of the feather, and we have a chance to look over his house and property again. And it really makes you longing for, the good times that he went through again by the end. So that is the nostalgic ending. The last one is called...
It's the LOL Surprise OMG Remix 4-in-1 plane. 1. Cool plane in the sky. 2. BIBB card, let's drive. 3.
Sorry about this ad.
Rock your vibe. 4. Mixing booth, mixing in style. LOL Surprise OMG Remix 4-in-1 plane. Dolphin plane sold separately.
Okay, that was fun. This cyclical ending is again going to be an ending that is almost exactly the same as the beginning, or it reflects the beginning in some way. And the best way to show you this is to do two things. I'm going to show you the beginning opening moments of Finding Nemo, and then I'm going to show you the last moments to help you set it up. So here's sort of an opening scene from Finding Nemo.
First day of school! Wake up, wake up! Come on, first day of school!
I don't want to go to school. 5 more minutes.
Not you, Dad, me!
Okay.
Get up,
Huh?
get up! Time for school, time for school, time for school, time for school!
All right, I'm up.
Boy,
It's
oh
time
boy,
for
oh
school.
boy! Whoa!
Nemo!
First day of school!
Nemo, don't move! Don't move!
Okay, so that is the opening, scene. Whenever it's not the very, very first scene of Finding Nemo, it's the second scene, but it is certainly the beginning of the story. And the reason why I show that is because the last moments of Finding Nemo looks like this.
Time for school! Time for school! Get up! Let's go! Go! I'm gonna win!
No, you're not! I did it!
Oh, my own son beat!
Okay, so just pretty short there, but just like in the very beginning, we have the anemone where they're sleeping and waking up for the first day of school 1 year later. But what's different here is it's a fun reversal. So in the first clip, we have Nemo waking up Marlin, and then at the end, you have Marlin waking up Nemo. And so that shows the similar idea that it's the first day of school. They're excited. They're going to the coral reef to go to school, just like they were a year ago. And so the story ends almost like it began with the first day of school, but a lot has changed. So it's a chance for you to reflect on all of the growth. So those are your cyclical ending examples.
Time for school! Time for school!
The plan from here until December, until this whole thing is knocked out and finished, is as follows. So today you're going to officially start your drafting. We're going to give you time to draft in class over the next 2 weeks, here and there, not every day, but we will try our best to find some time to allow you to draft in class. In the years past, please know that students have mostly written this paper outside of class, so keep that in mind. So this week, or starting next week, which is technically week 1 of drafting, 11/16 to 11/20, we're going to have you doing that, and then you have 2 days before Thanksgiving to also draft and review. We're going to be doing some peer review, hopefully during next week and the following week. And then whenever we come back from Thanksgiving break, on Monday, the first day back, you're going to have your first draft due. So it might be wise to actually have your draft mostly finished before we leave for Thanksgiving break, because you're going to be turning that in on the 30th. From there, we're going to spend 2 weeks evaluating these stories. They're much longer than LEQs. Many of you are going to end up writing stories that are between 4 and 6 pages, maybe longer than that. So it takes us more time. So it's going to take 2 weeks to grade these. You'll get them back in mid-December. Hopefully by the 10th is the goal that I'm setting for myself right now, December 10th. And then your revised or resubmitted draft will be due by the 18th. Now, you don't have to turn in a second draft. You can turn in your first draft and accept the grade you got, just like your LEQ. But if you want to revise, you will be allowed to revise this writing. The whole thing is going to be done before you leave for Christmas winter break. Okay. So winter break is the last day that you can turn in this story, because when we come back in January, we want to move on to other stuff. So that is the plan. That is the schedule for the rest of this assignment. Today begins the drafting phase, and then officially next week is going to start drafting in class. So we are going to give you most of the remainder of class time to draft today. You have tomorrow, Friday, off school. If you're viewing this today, whenever I first uploaded it on the 12th of November. Otherwise, good luck. Let us know if you have any questions.